Happy Sunday, Tampa Bay. We're with you for another week here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show, like we are every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on WFLA News. I'm Andrew Duncan of the Duncan Duo team at LPT Realty. Always dishing the latest and greatest on what is going on in Tampa Bay real estate. When we aren't on air, please make sure to follow us on all the social channels at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. And hit up DuncanDuo.com if you're thinking about selling your home, you want an instant cash offer, or you're simply curious about your home's value. The website that we've put together at DuncanDuo.com, I believe, has the most accurate data for determining your home's value in Tampa Bay, and you can do that again at DuncanDuo.com. So I want to talk this week about the jobs report. So the federal government has revised the jobs report that they had released previously downward over 800,000 jobs. And so what does that mean? It basically means they overestimated how many jobs are being created. And I want to talk about how that impacts real estate and what we're seeing right now in interest rates. So when you see things like that, the news is obviously puts a negative spin on it. But I think a lot of the economic factors had already been believed to kind of align with that, specifically as it relates to mortgage rates. So what we're seeing now is a trend downward on interest rates. Now, when you hear things like the Fed is going to likely cut rates a quarter, a half point in September, the mortgage market's pretty much already factor that in. Like they've already started lower rates because of the expectation that that's going to happen. And by the time that current mortgages end up turning into real mortgages, that is in effect. So we've already seen the jobs report, inflation numbers, as well as expectations of Fed rate drops starting to positively impact the real estate market. So I want to talk to the people that have been sitting on the fence, thinking about buying or thinking about selling because they want rates to drop. And here's what I want to tell you. You actually want to start transacting when all of the data is pointing into the direction of the rates starting to drop versus waiting until they do. So here are two trains of thought that I want you to understand about real estate investment and somebody like myself that's sold $3 billion in real estate, bought and sold, helped clients, tens of millions of dollars in my own personal real estate that I've done. And you actually don't want to wait until everyone is doing it. You want to be before everyone else. If you're following the masses, remove the M, and that's who you're really following, because when you're following the masses, you're missing out. So the masses right now are saying, oh, I'm going to wait until all these rate drops come through, and I'm going to wait until next year to sell my home or to buy a home. And specifically for buyers, what I would tell you is that if you do wait until then, and you wait for the rates to drop more, prices are going to rise, okay? Now that we know that rates are going to drop, most lenders are doing, courtesy, fee-free or fee-reduced refinances. You can always lower your rate on your mortgage. You can't really easily lower your price. And so what we're seeing right now is this little lull in the market where it's a little bit slow, and smart money right now is looking to capitalize. Smart money is looking to acquire assets, to buy homes in advance of the likely one-year track record starting in September, where we're going to see the Fed start to cut rates. When those rate cuts hit, by the time next summer shows up and we're back down into really low rate territory, prices are going to skyrocket. We're going to be back to bidding wars, overpaying. You have an opportunity right now as a home buyer to take advantage of that, specifically to buy now and refinance later. If you wait until the rates drop, the affordability that you think you're going to get by the rate coming down is going to be offset by a higher price when prices start to rise and rates drop. We saw this during COVID. I've seen this numerous times throughout my 20-year real estate career where when rates drop, prices dramatically rise. We saw 27+% appreciation on average for a 2.5-year period when rates were historically low during, during, post-COVID. Now, do I expect we'll see that kind of appreciation? It's hard to believe we'll hit those numbers. However, we are going to see considerable appreciation once these rate drops start to hit and the election gets over. The election realistically is causing a lot of people to step back and be afraid, when in reality it'll have very little impact on real estate, because the policies that have to impact real estate and prices take a long time to act, and real estate is very slow moving. If you take real estate values, for example, or your home, you're not going to see your home go up 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 percentage points in a day, or go down 1 or 3 or 5 percentage points in a day like stock markets have the ability and sometimes do. Real estate is just really slow moving. So for everyone out there sitting on the fence right now that's a home buyer, I would tell you to abandon that and start thinking about purchasing now. Start thinking about locking something up now before those price increases come when rates drop, and then refinancing later if you are obviously buying with a mortgage. Every single economic indicator, all of the commercial mortgage banks, it's pretty much unanimous that we're going to see a continuing trend starting in September of rate drops. Again, assuming no major economic war events, stuff like that. So again, if you're a home buyer, you should not be waiting right now. If you wait, you're actually going to lose more than you think, because you're going to pay more for the house. And look, if we go back and look at that period of time, we saw bidding wars. We saw homes going for, $10, $20, $30, $50, $100,000 over asking. That will come back, and you will pay the price on that and think, oh, I'm going to save a few $100 a month, and then you're going to overpay 50 or 100 grand for your home because you waited until it was too late. If you can qualify and buy now, I would strongly encourage you to look at doing so. Similarly, home sellers, okay? If you're a home seller and you're moving up right now, and you're or at some point in the future, and when I say move up, let's say you own a $500,000 house, you're going to sell it and go buy $1 million house, okay? Or maybe not that drastic of a difference in price, but just to use the hypothetical. If you're selling your $500,000 house to move up to $1 million, and you're waiting, again, you're making a mistake, because we're going to see appreciation. If your $500,000 house goes up, 10%, you gained 50 to wait. But the $1 million house went to 1.1. You lost money. It went up 100. You lost 50 grand by waiting. If you're moving up, you should definitely be taking advantage of selling now, getting your house on the market now, so that by the time your home sells, rate drops have kicked in a little bit, and you also have the ability to take advantage of current pricing on the home you're moving up to before the interest rate drops start to drive prices upward. So there's just a lot of consumers out there sitting on the fence right now, and they're making mistakes. Similarly, if you look at the election, we hear an ongoing theme of people saying they want to wait until after the election. And as it relates to housing, certainly I could see if you were thinking about making a move in the stock investment space, mutual funds, if you're investing money in other places. But as it relates to real estate, I've been through multiple presidential elections in my 20-year career, and I can tell you there is very negligible impact from a logical standpoint. From a real estate standpoint, it's more of an emotional one. There's not anything that's going to happen post-election that's going to have some massive impact on real estate. Now, could there be a year or two down the road impact from some policies? Of course. But nonetheless, if we expect interest rates to drop, that's going to drive values up, and ultimately it's going to cause a lot of people to be disappointed that they didn't act sooner. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in not following the masses when it comes to real estate investment. When people are running away, you want to run towards it. When people are running towards it, you probably want to run away. There's a lot of people running away from real estate right now and waiting. And we talk to customers every week, and I think, again, they're going to end up regretting it. So, again, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. When we aren't on air, hit us up on all of our socials at The Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, at The Duncan Duo. I want to talk to prospective real estate agents out there. Historically, my company has always hired agents to work with home sellers from within. In other words, we would bring an agent into our company that would work with home buyers, and as they produced, they would have the opportunity to move up to working with home sellers. And we're actually transitioning to a model where we're willing to take an agent new to our team and make them a listing specialist. So if you have looked at it, applying for my company before and thought, man, they do a lot of listings, and we do, and I'd love to learn the listing side, and I've only worked with buyers, or you really haven't gotten the right amount of training to help home sellers. With everything going on in the industry right now, real estate agents are flocking to the opportunities with home sellers. And we have that opportunity with a 150,000 plus person database, with thousands of listings sold, with massive amounts of experience and scale to provide services to help our agents sell more listings. If you are one of those agents, go to jointheduo.com. You can apply for one of our open positions. You can register for our career night. You can message us on any of the social channels if you are interested in being a listing agent on our team. Please, again, go to jointheduo.com. You can actually book a link. You can book an appointment directly from there through Calendly. You can apply for one of our open positions, or again, you can register for our career night. The market is changing dramatically. People that have been historically working with buyers because of changes in commission are now saying, oh, wait a second, maybe I don't want to focus on working with buyers as much. We're certainly still doing a lot of coaching and training to help our agents get through some of the changes in the marketplace, to help them understand, how buyer commissions work now and how the buyer brokerage agreements work. But we're also seeing agents say, this is a time for me to change. This is the period of time for that change. And I'm a believer, just like I talked about before, the next couple of months in real estate, even though it shouldn't be, is probably going to be a little slower. And this is the time to make one of those changes and one of those moves. So if you are looking at doing that, we're ramping up systems. We're going through some internal changes and improvements. And this is the perfect time to join us if you want to be a great listing agent and focus on running a listing-based business. Again, you can apply, register for career night, or set up a direct one-on-one appointment through Calendly at jointheduo.com. Again, that is jointheduo.com. We'll be back. We're going to continue this conversation about the Tampa Bay real estate market after a quick break here on WFLA News. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. I'm Andrew Duncan, and when we aren't on air, make sure to follow us at the Duncan Duo. Andrew Duncan with the Duncan Duo team at LPT Realty. And I want to talk next about first-time home buyers. Now, first-time home buyers have historically been a very integral part of any real estate agent's business. And they've had their ups and they've had their downs. And so one of the things that we focused on doing in helping buyer agents is help them understand some things they need to do to prepare, but also to set them best up for success. So I want to give a few tips to the first-time home buyers out there. And if you aren't a first-time home buyer, let's say you're listening and your grandson or your son or your daughter or granddaughter is coming up on being a first-time home buyer, listen to this and then share our social media channel with them. You can also go to the iHeart app, find our podcast for this week, and you can share this specific segment with them as it relates to the things that they need to do to prepare themselves. So one of those things that you need to understand is you have to expect to move quickly. There is a lot of competition in the marketplace in the first-time home buyer segment. Now, when you look at the market and you hear me say things like it's slowing down and it's doing this and it's doing that, it's across a huge market. It's also across a lot of price ranges. The demand for the product and the homes that are specifically geared towards first-time home buyers, those are going to be affordable single-family homes. Not likely to be condos because they're not as easy to finance, and the HOA fees usually price out a lot of first-time home buyers. So you're usually looking at affordable single-family homes in affordable neighborhoods. And there is a lot of competition for affordable single family homes in good neighborhoods in Tampa Bay. Even though our market isn't as strong as it once was a year or two ago, that is a segment of our market no different than if you look at a stock market. Now you have tech stocks and oil stocks and medical stocks and defense stocks. The segment of the real estate marketplace for first-time homebuyers is still very healthy because you are going to compete with large institutional hedge funds that are looking to buy that product and turn it into rentals. And it is hard for you to compete with that group of people because they have cash and you don't. So before you even go out to look at a property, you need to have your mortgage approval and your real estate agent secured. Today, you're now more or less required to have a buyer broker agreement to look at homes that are not listed by that broker. So a buyer broker agreement allows you to have exclusivity and build a relationship with that agent. No different than, you hiring an attorney to represent you or you hiring a dedicated person to, a contractor to work on your home. This is a contractual agreement where you're retaining that person to work on your behalf. So you hire your real estate agent and you apply for mortgage approval. Way too many consumers don't know enough about their credit or how their income is reported on their taxes to understand how much they can or cannot qualify for. We see it happen all the time where a first-time home buyer goes out, thinks they can qualify, and then finds out they can't after they've fallen in love with their dream home, or finds out that it's going to take them a week to put together a bunch of information and they've got to get some forms and send some documents. And then by then the home that they walked through and fell in love with sells to somebody else. Okay. You have to have all your ducks in a row. You have to have your approval ahead of time. You have to be so prepared to act quickly if you're going to beat Wall Street, because that's who you're competing with. You're competing with billions of dollars in hedge funds that are ready to go, that are firing off offers the instant a property hits MLS, and you are behind them. You don't have the leverage and scale to make offers as quickly as they do, and their terms are hard to beat. So if you're going to be a first-time home buyer and win today, you need to have an agent already, and you need to be prepared. And you can't be, in my opinion, you can't jump from listing to listing trying to work with the listing agent when you're competing with Wall Street. You don't have the scale. You're going to lose over and over and over again. The second thing is set a realistic budget. Expect to offer over the asking price. Again, you're competing with Wall Street hedge funds that have billions of dollars that 5 or 10 grand over asking may not mean much to them. It may mean a lot to you. You have to be prepared to be very competitive, offer very aggressively, have your agent in place, have your approval in place. The last tip that I'm going to give first-time home buyers that is about the location. A lot of first-time home buyers underestimate their commute. They'll go out and look at a house on Saturday at noon, and then after they've bought it, realize that the commute to their office on Saturday at noon is 12 minutes. The commute Monday morning at 8 a.m. is 52. I would encourage you, before you go under contract, it is a common rookie first-time home buyer mistake to not drive the neighborhood during rush hour and underestimate what your commute is going to be. So hopefully those tips are helpful. If you are a first-time home buyer, we would love to help you. Again, go to theduncanduo.com, hit us up on any of our socials. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you, offer our services, explain how we'll operate and work with you, help you get qualified for the best mortgage possible for your terms, including possible down payment assistance or no money down loans that are available to first-time home buyers. So again, we'd love the opportunity to audition for that job and get a tryout. And again, you can do that at theduncanduo.com. We're going to continue this conversation after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate statistics next. Every Sunday, we're here right at 10 a.m. dropping all the knowledge about Tampa Bay real estate. And when we aren't on air, again, hit us up at the Duncan Duo on all the social channels. So Stellar is our local MLS service, and they release statistics on what is going on in the Tampa Bay real estate market every single month. Usually comes out the middle of the month for the prior month. So these stats came out this past week that talk about what happened in July in Tampa. So I'm going to give you guys a summary, but I'm also going to kind of put my own spin on it and tell you that we are in a balanced market that is still a little light on inventory and still a little bit tilted to the seller. We are not in the drastic seller's market that we were in 2022, where we had less than a month of it. We had weeks of inventory, less than a month. We're in the 3 months inventory range, so it's relatively balanced. Homes are still selling relatively quickly. We have seen inventory rise a little bit this year, but it's been pretty consistent from January on. Not a massive increase in inventory, pretty seasonal, but we are seeing a little bit more homes for sale. We had an incredible May in Tampa Bay in terms of the number of homes sold, but then we saw a big drop off in June and July, and I want to talk about that. So we saw 3,349 homes sell in Tampa in July, and I want to relate that because it is better than last year. Last year we were 3,184, so we're roughly a 6% increase over last year. Last month we had 3,336. So from June to July, we were pretty flat. And that is something that is relatively common. June is usually a better month than July. Historically, people want to get closed in June in the summer. They don't want to push it into July because it's too close to school. Historically, June is the best month of the year, which is why it was a big shock to see over 4,000 homes sold in May, which was our first 4,000 sale month since June of 2021, and then see such a large drop off in June of this year, where we saw 4,000 go to 3,336, literally a 17-point drop from May to June, which is abnormal. Usually it's rising from up to June and then falls off. So this year we didn't have a fall off from June to July, which actually is a good thing. It just kind of shows a little bit of a stabilization post that little summer bump. But here's what we saw that was surprising. Our average sale price in July, $462,000. To put this into perspective, last July we were $461,000. So year over year, Tampa Bay home values are flat. Okay. Now, June, however, saw, because again, a lot of the push increase in demand. May looks like it's great. So then prices bumped up a little bit. And in June, our average sale price was $494,000, which is the highest it's ever been in Tampa Bay. Okay. The highest in my entire real estate career, almost eclipsing the 500,000 mark. So then it went from 494,000 in June to 462. That's about a 7-point drop from June to July. That's a pretty considerable drop, but it also goes to show us that June may have been a bit of an anomaly. There were very likely some really high-priced sales, and I'm a believer in, when you look at statistics and you look at kind of a graph, and if there's an outlier, you kind of have to eliminate it or be suspicious of it and understand if maybe it wasn't if it wasn't influenced by something drastic. And I believe June, even though I don't get to see all the statistics in the market, I believe June's average sale price was probably influenced by a few really high-end home sales, because it is an average sale price. So when you take, a couple of $20 million homes that sold and some more activity in the high end, and it can make that average look a lot different than reality. So if you look this year, we've gone from 444 at the beginning of the year, 444, 446, 454, 461, 467, 494, 462. In reality, we're relatively flat. That 494 was just an anomaly. We saw a huge bump from May to June, and then that same from June to July, we lost all of that bump. But we are up year to date, but we're flat year over year. And most of last year, we also saw prices average hover in the 460 range. And in 2022, they hovered in the 460 range. And so we've been kind of in this same place for a couple of years where real estate has been pretty stable. And that started when rates started to increase. So now, what do we expect to see? I think, again, the markets are already starting to price in an expected rate drop, and I expect to see next year prices to rise pretty considerably. I think most of this year, the news won't travel fast enough, and people won't analyze the data enough to know that the home values are going to rise because they're going to be distracted by a whole bunch of other things. But I believe home values will rise pretty considerably next year. As rates drop, values will rise. So, and I think home sales will rise as well. I think we will be back to seeing some 4,000, sub 4,000 months instead of hovering in the low 3,000s for most of the last couple of years, with a couple of anomaly months like May of this year. So let's talk about some other parts of the statistics. 11,349 homes for sale. We're not really seeing a massive increase in inventory. It's relatively seasonal. From February, we were at 10,500 and we're at 11,300 now. Now, if you compare it to last year and the year before, we're up a decent percentage point. But the last several months, it's pretty stabilized. There's not a lot more homes coming on the market, and it's relatively balanced. We're at 3.39 months of inventory. That, again, is also relatively consistent from the beginning of the year to now, and consistent with the second half of last year. So we've been kind of in that 2 to 3.5 month inventory market for the last couple of years. And again, a lot of people speculate that post-election, with interest rates drops, we're going to see more homes come on the market, but also more buyers, so that month's supply of inventory will drop. And so I can explain what month's supply of inventory means, because I get questions about this sometimes where people are a little bit confused. It basically means if we took every single home on the market based on the number of homes that sold the prior month, how long would it take to sell out the entire inventory? And so if we had no homes come on the market based on the present demand, it would take 3.39 months to sell everything that's on the market right now. Again, it's still a seller's market, but kind of a mid-ground seller's market, not, again, the drastic seller's market with less than a month of inventory that we saw in 21 and 22 and some of 2020. So prices, again, we saw a huge run up in 20 and 21, and then since about the middle of 22, prices are really pretty stable and consistent. So that's good news, though. The good news is there are markets across the country where, if you look at the last 2 years, you've seen depreciation, you've seen price drops, and of course some rare markets where you're seeing values go up. But in our market, we're stabilized, where our values are consistent. And they've kind of stayed there. And I think, again, that's supported by a strong local economy, a lot of job growth in Tampa, and continued population growth in Tampa Bay that's kind of helped our market stay a little healthier than other markets. So the forecast that I have for the rest of this year is probably consistent with what we're seeing now. And I think that is why it's a prime opportunity for people to transact and jump in versus waiting, especially if you're buying for the long term. If you're buying any assets right now for the long term in real estate in Tampa Bay, I think you're making a smart play in the residential space. Still some blood in the water commercially with how mortgages work in the commercial space, but in the residential front, you're kind of right on the edge of what I think is going to be a really strong 2025 in Tampa Bay. One other statistic that I want to point to is 55 days on market. That is the average right now for a home to sell. So if you're selling before that, great. If you're selling longer than that, maybe your house is a little overpriced until you get to the right price, or it's in a different segment of the market. And like all things Tampa real estate, sometimes a neighborhood doesn't mesh with the stats. There are some neighborhoods that do better than others. If you look at throughout Tampa Bay, there are some neighborhoods where there's less than 1 month supply of inventory. There's some condo communities right now with more than a year's supply of inventory because the condo market is in a pretty rough spot. So if you are thinking about selling your home and you want to know what's going on in your neighborhood, we've put together this really cool website. We've partnered up with a company called Fellow, and our website at duncanduo.com allows you to type in your address. You get your home value estimate. You get the option to ask for a cash offer, but you also get to see a dashboard. And this dashboard's really cool because your value can be customized, not just by yourself, but by us. We can communicate with you, learn the upgrades that your home has, and make adjustments within the dashboard so you can see the progression of your home's value. You also get to see that month's supply inventory. You get to see what is going on in your neighborhood. What are the homes selling for? What are the active homes on the market? You get to see all of that data that you wouldn't normally easily in one convenient place get to see. Most of the reason you don't get to see all the data is because the companies like a Zillow and a Realtor.com, they don't really want to provide you a whole lot of value. They just want to turn you into a lead and sell you to the highest bidder real estate agent. Ours, when you're using our platform, our goal, we've already acquired you as a customer. You've already enrolled in our system. We want to give you as much value about the data that we can, because the online portals fall short in a lot of areas that a system like ours can provide, because we're not trying to sell your lead to a million people. We get it all the time where somebody signs up on one of those websites and they call us complaining because 4 different people called them, right? Well, in ours, our goal is just to provide value, to help you understand your neighborhood, to help you decide whether it's a good time to sell or not, depending on your situation. And then, of course, they keep you updated on what's going on in your neighborhood so that you can be prepared for, are there foreclosures coming? That's also something our site lets you see. Are there list pendants in your neighborhood? Are there, homes that have been sitting for a while? All of those things are relevant. And again, you get to see the comparables in real time and make adjustments to those. So we'd love the opportunity again for you to fill it out at duncanduo.com. We're always learning from our customers and using the data that we get from them to make adjustments, and so that we can keep delivering you the best value possible. So again, duncanduo.com. And when we aren't on air, hit us up on all of our socials. Got some exciting Tampa Bay Lightning news that we're working on. We're looking at forging ahead again with our precious Bolts, and looking forward to making some announcements soon about that on the Duncan Duo social channels. We'll be back after a quick break for our last segment here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. I saw a statistic this week that Tampa led the nation in canceled contracts and price reductions. And while that basically means there's a lot of real estate agents making the mistake of overpricing, it doesn't necessarily mean there's problems in the real estate market. It means maybe people are being a little too greedy, because our stats actually show still a balanced market. But I want to go over some reasons why your home might not be selling. The first and most obvious one is it's priced too high. If it's priced too high, it's not going to sell. We get this all the time. Well, can't you find some rich person overseas or outside of the country that's willing to pay that price? Rich people aren't stupid. They're not going to overpay for a house. Okay, so if the price is too high, you've got to look at your values. You've got to listen to your agent. It's got to be priced to sell. What's you miss the market's peak is one thing. You maybe priced it at what homes were selling for 6 months ago, and now they've dropped, and now the activity isn't moving. So again, an adjustment on price or an adjustment to the condition. You've got a specific problem to address. Now, again, sometimes this is the condition. Sometimes this is the access or declutter to the property. We found oftentimes that when a home is restrictive with showings, there's tenants in it, or the home isn't well maintained, or the owner regularly doesn't put the home in a good light or allow the home to be shown, those can be things that can consequently cause restrictions and the opportunities to sell. You're working with the wrong buyers. Maybe your home needs work. If your home needs work and you're trying to ask a premium price, you might need to adjust your price to accommodate an investor who's willing to buy the home for the work that it needs. Maybe it needs some work. Maybe it needs a new roof. Maybe it needs a new kitchen, and buyers are passing on it, whereas an investor is willing to pick it up, again, for the right price. Your home is unconventional or unique or on a busy road. We get this a lot. I had this not long ago. We had a customer reach out to us with a property on West Shore Boulevard, and all the comps that they sent us in Beach Park were not on West Shore Boulevard. Okay, your home on West Shore Boulevard with thousands and thousands of traffic driving by every day isn't going to sell for the same as a Beach Park home that isn't on West Shore Boulevard. So you've got to be realistic. I understand that you as an owner believe that your house is the best house, and there's a reason you bought it. But it's sometimes common sense. If your home has something unique or unconventional compared to the comps, it's got to be that's got to be factored into the marketing strategy. Your staging is bad or non-existent. Sometimes vacant homes, people have a hard time seeing the vision. You may also not have done enough prep work to get the home ready for sale. When the market was really hot, you could put anything on the market and it was moving. Now, and even I personally, with homes that I own in one of my companies, have to do this sometimes, where I realize that a year ago I could have gone unstaged on a property. Now I've got to make an adjustment. If the home is occupied, you want to make sure, again, to provide access, and you don't want it to feel like your home. It needs to be as neutral as possible. Your curb appeal may be bad. Maybe you're not mowing the lawn. Maybe you need some fresh mulch. Maybe you need to weed eat the pavers or the driveway. Your listing photos aren't professional. This is a really common one. Still today, I see real estate agents with, not even getting out of the car to take pictures of houses. Like in the front, you can see like the mirror. Or like if somebody's taking a bathroom picture and you see the person taking the picture with a little flash on their camera. If you're selling a property today and that's the quality that you're getting, maybe you need a change in agents. Your listing description could be too dry. You've got to sell a lifestyle in your listing description. It can't just be the facts. They can find out the facts. The facts are in all the data and on tax rolls. You've got to describe the lifestyle. Your marketing may need a makeover. Again, sometimes when a home hasn't moved, we'll freshen up the photos, or we'll make some edits to the description, or we'll run some different ad campaigns. Could be that you're getting bad advice. If you're working with an experienced agent, all of those things should be getting handled. You should be getting communicated that. I know I called clients this week. I assumed some listings from another agent, and that agent had given the clients bad advice on price. And I had to get them to understand and look at it from a realistic perspective as to why the home hadn't sold. The other one is you're a helicopter seller. Okay. A helicopter seller is somebody that has emotional ties and memories to the home, and you're having a hard time accepting an offer because the equity in your current home is worth more than money alone. No one can give you your emotional value in a property. It is worth what the data shows us it's worth and what someone will pay. So when you raised your family and you have all these memories and you want a premium for those things because they're valuable to you, money alone is the only thing that's going to work in terms of you being able to get your home sold. There's no, unless you are a celebrity or a professional athlete, sometimes people may pay a premium for something like that. But if you're just a regular person, that is not going to work. So hopefully these tips are helpful for you. And last but not least, if your home failed to sell, we specialize in helping people whose homes failed to sell. You can go to duncanduo.com, hit us up. We'll reach out. We'll talk to you about the strategy that we deploy when we have a client whose home failed to sell with another agent and the things that we do differently to get it sold the next time. So hopefully that's been helpful. Again, hit us up at duncanduo.com if you're someone whose home failed to sell and you're looking for a fresh new approach. We appreciate you tuning in and hope you have an awesome rest of your weekend, Tampa Bay.